From a compilation of articles by Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach Portnaar. And you shall love Avaya, your Elohim, with all your heart and all your nefesh and all your strength. What means implementation and practice of the learned? If we say that all human emotions, desires, etc., have no relation to the spiritual, then where to seek the place to implement in practice? After all said in Tess, that Kabbalistic sources do not narrate one word about our world. And it was also said that the only thing worth requesting is the eye to see. That is, any discussions of the subject, they are useless and false, until the moment you actually behold. And before this, it possible to implement it in practice. Is not the study necessary for the formulation of the intention, the aim, for the accumulation of sufficient potential to raise man? Yes. In Tess was said that Kabbalistic sources do not speak one word of our world. What does this mean in regard to individual spiritual work? Tess is Talmud Eser Sfirot. This means that all corrections, tikkunim, take place only in the spiritual component of nature and the remaining three material natures that are in a person. They in themselves are uncorrectable. That is, they are not amenable by direct correction, as naively assumed by all religions, humanitarians, etc., thinking that a person is in the condition and is even obligated to correct his or her natural character. This is nonsense, inspired by their intellectual conclusions or religious views, that is to say, the desired is imagined by them and appears to them as reality. In reality, it is a perversion of the Creator's true reality, refraction of the truth, because He created the human being differently than all of their world views and religious fairy tales. No correcting the person's character is absolutely impossible and is not required. After all, the whole material component of man is taken from the system of impure strengths. Of course, there is a hierarchy of levels of material impurity, from the physical, the coarsest, to the psychological, with the thinnest and subtlest impurity. The material body of a person is absolutely impure. His higher material component, emotional, is relatively less impure. And therefore you see that even the staunchest of criminals can, at times, experience some good emotions, while their material body always desires only mischief. And the highest material component, psychological, even less, compared to the other two, impure. Thus, even the most pronounced evildoers manifest at times the condition of good soul. And all because the thinning of nature is observed, namely, in the material nature of a person, in her three lower components. And therefore, I repeat, there is absolutely no point in trying to correct your character, your particular individual ways of manifesting emotions and psyche. After all, these are all initially inherent in the very nature of each person at birth. The specific and unchanging in given incarnation combination of four simple elements that are in him: Esh, fire; Ruach, air; Mayim, water; and Afar, earth. And we know we must believe that a person at birth is given the most optimal material body with all of the components. Optimal, namely, for successfully correcting his spiritual part in a given incarnation. That, for the sake of which she, the soul, descends into this world into a body of a newborn. However, this is no way means that in a person these two general components, material and spiritual, coexist without mutually influencing each other. Having sinned, violating the Torah, you bring your soul to be blemished, polluted, instead of her correction. For if you sinned with your body in action, for instance, committed a forbidden sexual act, got drunk, stoned, or exhausted your body in any destructive way, through that very act you have led yourself into a weakening of the strength of the soul's counteraction to the Sitra Achra. And if you looked at someone's wife or husband, etc., with desire, then you harm your soul and your emotional component, and so on. And regarding this, says the Torah, and you shall love Avaya, your Elohim, with all your heart, and all your nefesh, and all your strength. Enclosed in this verse are all the constituent components of all four natures of a person. With all your heart, this is ruach of the soul, and with all your nefesh, this is the nefesh of the soul. Both components of the soul, nefesh and ruach, relate to the sphere of individual work of the correction of the soul, because the innermost component, neshama, is not required to correct in a direct way. And with all your strength, uvechol modecha, and all your strength includes all of your material substance. That is, at the correction of your spiritual component, your soul, grab as well the remaining components of your material existence. It equals all vectors of strengths, without exception, must raise upwards. This is indicated to us threefold by bechol, with all. There is a deep indication in the very word bechol. His gematria is 52, which equals bon. For example, obligated to love the Creator down to malchut, from beginning to end, not leaving any of your being to remain uninvolved in your single aspiration for affinity of form, congruence of properties with your unified Maker.